Welcome to the Making Up the Numbers podcast. The Making Up the Numbers podcast is sponsored by Hope Technology, Revolution Bike Park, Schwal, and the world's finest independent mountain bike magazine, Singletrack.
Another week of glorious sunshine here in the UK, another week on lockdown. But when it comes to the podcast, in the words of BBC Radio 1's Pete Tong, we continue. I'm George Thompson, and joining me once again for this episode is SR Suntour One Vision's Jack Redding. Jack, I saw you released a new episode of the vlog on YouTube this week, and it was a day in the life, a kind of lockdown special. The riding bit looked fun, but the gym session, I'd backed out by the end of the warm-up. How much of that was for the cameras?
No, none of it, to be honest. I actually did less because it's a pain having to film it. I was testing today. Me and Johnny had a chat this morning, and because I've got a fully equipped gym at home, we're using this time to kind of try and build. So he was like, right, retest today. So yeah, the session I did today was an absolute monster. I'm going to sleep tonight, that's for sure.
Cool. Well, let's crack on, because after 11 episodes with 17 guests and over 14 hours of chat, we finally managed to get our first female rider on the show, and what a rider. It's the 2013 Junior World Champion and winner of 7 World Cups. Welcome to the show, Tahnée Seagrave.
Whoop, whoop.
How are we doing, Tahnée? How's lockdown life treating you?
It's not too bad. Obviously a bit frustrating for everyone, I think, but I've got my rehab to focus on. So for me, it's not actually that much different to what it usually would be.
I think that's what you were saying, Jack, isn't it? It's not that different.
Yeah. In fact, I've just got most of the stress I'd normally have removed, and I can just train. So yeah, I'd love to go racing, but the rest of it's pretty good. So Tahnée, how's it been locked up with Kade and Kaos? Is it like having your own modern day version of the Chuckle Brothers?
It's more like Dumb and Dumber. They just like follow each other, and it's quite funny. It's just they're keeping busy in the field building jumps, so I don't actually see them that much because I bury myself in the gym, so they haven't seen a gym in a very long time.
Really?
Well, let's get cracking then. You quite famously grew up in the Alps, and your mum and dad had a chalet where pro riders used to stay. But what kind of motivated you to start racing? Because you started really young. Was it like 2009? You were like 12 or 13, something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've always been so competitive from like school, like really early on. Like we've got loads of pictures of me doing gymnastics, standing on the top of the podium. Like I can't really remember a time that I just didn't want to win everything I did. So
Nice.
It was just such a natural progression for me to go racing. Like I just begged Dad to go racing, and yeah, he took me despite all the. Well, he is a moto dad, but I did kind of push him towards that first. So, yeah, it was all on me.
Did you ever do team sports? Because the reason I asked that question is I played football at a reasonably high level until I was about 16. I was in and out of Huddersfield Academy. But the main reason I never made it in football is because I'm just too competitive and I was useless in a team.
Yeah,
Have you ever done team sports when you were younger?
Yeah, when I was at school, like middle school in France, they played handball, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good fun, but because like I always want to give my best and I put everything into it, it would really annoy me when my teammates wouldn't do that. So as much as I worked well in the team, I really enjoyed it, but I couldn't have that somebody else's like crap onto me. That's just something like I like to deal with my own stuff, and I like to kind of see the results from that. So, but I really enjoyed it, and I probably would have gone down that road if I hadn't have found mountain biking.
Yeah, and then mountain biking's perfect for, as you say, it's all on you.
Solo, yeah.
Letting you down. So when you were growing up, did you have female role models in and out of the sport? Anyone you really?
Yeah, for sure. I remember I watched the 2004 World Champs in the J, and Vanessa Quinn won. And I already knew kind of Anne Caro, of Rach. I think there are like a few people that I knew of, but because Vanessa Quinn won that race that I went to see, she was just my ultimate hero. And she actually came to stay with us the following year in our chalet with Nigel Page, because they were together at the time. So that kind of kicked it all off for me.
So that's someone I've never actually even heard of. So
She had a baby blue. She was riding for Intense at the time, baby blue. And that's where my baby blue bike came from when I first started riding. It was kind of like that
Nice.
thing that people saw and related me to. So yeah, that was just something I picked up from her, and I wanted to be like her so bad. And I think kind of that maybe planted the seed of wanting to win and getting out there.
Where
She was
she
just so cool. New Zealand.
New Zealand, nice.
Yeah,
And then any role models out of the sport?
Not particularly. I think, I don't know, it's hard for me to like pick and choose, because anyone I surround myself with, I find are all like talented, and I love like my friends and family, and they will inspire me and to kind of make me a better person. But I've never really I wasn't that kind of kid to have posters on my wall and stuff like that. I was just kind of head down and into my own stuff.
Nice. Does it ever enter your head now how much of a role model you are to up and coming young female riders?
I find it nuts. I just still, because to me, like, well, I'm going to turn 25 soon, and I'm still like that 12-year-old kid that just wants to go and have fun and ride my bike. It's just the same goals. I don't know, same pleasure when I'm riding my bike. So it is, I still find it so crazy when, you know, even on social media and stuff, when I get messages. And so I do try, like, I'm very aware of it, so I do try and set a good example. But yeah, I find it crazy. I'm like, what, me?
Yeah.
Like, just that kid?
Yeah, nice. Now, we were going to ask, does it kind of influence the way you do portray yourself on social media, and then when you meet the fans in person?
Yeah, I think so. I think because social media is now my job, there are a lot of personal things. I try and be as open as possible, but there are a lot of personal things that are just not worth sharing, or, you know, it's not relatable to my job anymore. So there are a few things that I kind of don't really post, not because they're bad or anything, but just because they're not really related. But yeah, it is a big influence. I do try and put good and positive messages out there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we can see that as well. So yeah, it's,
thank you.
Moving on to kind of 2012, you started racing World Cups, and at the time there was no separate junior category. You were straight in with the kind of elite women. How did it feel going in with the kind of big guns straight away?
I guess at the time we didn't really know any different.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I had looked forward to. I saw Manon go up through the ranks, Manon Carpenter at the time. So I guess it was just so normal for me, and I was just aiming to qualify and then aim for it. Just a slow progression, top 15. Oh, I've done that, top 10. Yeah, it was just normal, I guess.
Cool. Well, you had a really solid first season, 14th at Fort William, 11th at Val d'Isère, and 9th at Hafyell. And you won the Junior World Cup title and then took silver at World Champs in Liège. The following year, you're a second-year junior, and after three kind of seventh place finishes, you end up 9th in the elite women's overall. You're clearly the standout junior rider. World Champs in Pietermaritzburg, you're expected to win. How did you deal with that pressure?
That was crazy because, the thing is, the year before, I felt a lot more pressure in 2012 because I felt like you say, I was kind of the junior that was coming up, and there wasn't really anyone around, and I kind of set my mark, even though the results looking back, they weren't great, but for me, they were amazing. Yeah. I just thought that I was going to win World Champs in 2012, and I didn't, and that just showed me that, you know, you can never ever think too highly of yourself, for one, and two, it's never given, and comfort is usually super dangerous in what we do. So
you can't get complacent.
No, not at all. So yeah, I learned so much from that, and I think 2013 in South Africa, I kind of just, all I thought was, I'm just going to ride my best, and if I do that, I know I can win. Like, I didn't feel a pressure, but I definitely felt a relief when I won. A huge relief, like the biggest relief to date.
Yeah, weight off the shoulders.
Yeah, I just felt like everyone was waiting for it, so that was quite hard to deal with.
Yeah, I think Laurie said something similar, that it was just nice to just have it done.
Yeah.
Hang it up on the wall and be like, there we go.
Anything kind of good that I've ever done in my entire life, the only feeling I've ever had at the end of it is relief that it's gone well. I kind of organise big projects, big events, and it's never a feeling of like joy at the end. It's just always a feeling of, well, that wasn't a disaster. Do you know what I mean?
You're a glass half empty guy, George.
Yeah, I don't know if people would say that, but yeah, I suppose maybe I am. You won that race by over 7 seconds, becoming junior world champion. How did you like the Peter Maritzburg track?
At the time, I think it was kind of mixed feelings because there were huge jumps, which as a junior and the person I am, I enjoyed getting through them and being one of the only girls there was this huge moneymaker jump. I'm not sure if it was huge. It was like a hit. And all I could think about all week, I wasn't even thinking about winning. I was like, I'm going to hit that jump and I'm going to hit it in my race run. And I think the fact that I set a challenge for myself there, it kind of took my thoughts off of that. And yeah, I don't know, it's crazy. It's so long ago. I can't really, I can't remember. I remember really liking it, but there was a big flat pedal in it and that was not me at all. So
is that something you'd still do now? Like if there was a big feature on a course, you wouldn't save it now till your race run, would you?
No, I'm not like that anymore.
No.
I'm the complete opposite now. I have mental breakdowns and walk away from the track and decide to not train for an hour or so. The older you get, the scarier you get.
2014, you were a first-year elite and you had 4 podium finishes. You finished 5th in the overall. And then you're part of a British 1, 2, 3 at Worlds. Tell us a little bit about that season, because you were 5th in the world, but you're only kind of 3rd in Britain. Did the battle between Manon and Rachel, did that kind of take a bit of the pressure off you, but drag you along at the same time?
Yeah, I think I was so adjusted to having that competition anyway at nationals.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I guess I always saw it as a good thing. I wasn't at the time. I wasn't expecting to win or even come top 3, so they weren't really my goals.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I just wanted to be within a certain time of the girls, or if we went to a national, I didn't want to be like too far behind. Those were my goals at the time.
Cool. 2015, you had 3 podiums and 4th in the overall. 2016, 4 podiums and 4th in the overall. When we talked to Laurie a few weeks back, we talked about how his ascent kind of from juniors to where he is now has almost been like textbook, consistently improving year on year. And yours has been really similar. He said that he looks at what other top riders did at certain ages to make goals for himself, as they've kind of previously shown that it is achievable. Since the start of your pro career, have you looked far ahead and had goals and aims that you've wanted to achieve by certain ages?
No, I don't know.
No, you don't look at it like that.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I take every race as it comes. I'm kind of like every day as it comes. So let alone, I know I want to win a World Cup overall. Like I want to be world champion. I want to do this. I want to do that. But like sometimes you can work very hard towards these things and it not even happen. You know, downhill is so unpredictable. Yeah. So you could be the one that's working the hardest and you could get a flat tire on the day. So it's not something I attach myself to. Like attaching myself to those thoughts, I feel like is pretty scary because I get so invested and I'm so emotional. So I kind of have to avoid stuff like that. But as long as I know that every day I kind of do the best I can, I've definitely seen the improvement in the gym and on the bike and different types of bikes. And that for me is my goal, is I just want to get better every day. So I feel like if I keep at that, then there's no reason why I wouldn't be able to achieve the goals that I have.
2016 will always kind of be remembered for Rachel's 14 race winning run. How did it feel to be racing her when she was on that run? Did it feel like she was unbeatable, or did the run kind of just come together and then go again?
I don't know. I felt like she was definitely on a good streak for sure, but there was no part of me that thought she was unbeatable.
No.
But I guess that's just being a racer. Like you don't really go into a race thinking that you're going to lose. No. I don't know. I knew she was on good form. She was on the best form out of anyone there, and that is what spurred me on. I was like, I want to be on that form. I want to do that. Like, I want to do better than that. So in a way, it really pushed me to kind of do it myself, I guess, and want to be in that position.
Yeah, pushed you to get more from yourself.
Yeah.
With Rachel being someone, I'm sure I've heard you say it on another podcast, or you may have even said it to me, I can't remember, but I'm sure you've said you've kind of looked up to her as an athlete and a racer from a young age. How has it felt the times you have beaten her?
Surreal, super surreal. I think it's been obviously it's been so long now that we've been racing each other, and it was kind of a natural progression in a way that, you know, I was there for a very long time. I had numerous second places to Rachel. I don't even know how many second places I've had, a lot more than what I've beaten her. So it was just normal. But I remember, I know that one of my goals was to be at the bottom and be at the top, and her be at the bottom and wait for me to come down and me come with a green light. And that happened in 2018 in Val de Sol. And that is one race that I'll remember, because I just be the girl that I looked up to my whole career, that was the best mountain biker in the world. So that was the only race I've ever kind of, you know, patted myself on the back for.
Nice. And on the most physical track as well.
Yeah, the track that scares me the most.
Yeah.
So I was stoked. I was super stoked.
And after having Alan Milway on the podcast last week, who was really complimentary to how strong Rachel is, for you to then go and beat her on one of the most physical tracks on the circuit at quite a young age, 22 at the time, is that right? Ish?
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, so that's really impressive. Do you enjoy the competitive rivalry with Rachel? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes it's, you know, it's tiring, as you know, like World Cup like competition. It's, you know, I get on well with Rachel, but you can feel the tension there is as soon as like the race is on, and it's all a bit like, well, you're just in your zone. You're just in your zone. Some people are very competitive and they just deal with stuff in different ways.
Yeah.
And at first it was hard, but I got used to it, and I realized that I enjoy it. You know, it's all fun and games at the end of the day. We're all racing bikes, so I enjoy it. And, you know, I don't really take things too personally. So
yeah, as you said, I don't think you can, as you say, when you're racing and it's such a high pressure, intense environment. It was quite interesting. I think Danny said something to Loic on a podcast about how Danny doesn't understand how Loic and various other people are so huggy and so...
Yeah, I heard him say
Yeah, exactly. And like, you can really respect both sides of it. The fact that Loic and those guys can be, you can say, not sore losers, or you could word it however you want, but they can, in such a high pressure environment, be so openly happy to have not won.
This is why downhill is so good, is because there's so many personalities, and like, you have to have a particular personality to want to go as fast as you can down a hill and not even consider the risks for a second before you drop in. So I think everyone's got an immense amount of respect for each other, which is also so nice. But yeah, everyone just kind of does their own thing, don't they, on the weekend? If you're chatty, you find other people that are chatty. Like, if you're not, then you just put your head down. Everyone's got respect for each other, and yeah, at that high level and such an intense, like, it's just so, the emotions of downhill are so intense. I think everyone just kind of is like, all right, like, everyone just pats each other on the back, like, we've done a good job.
Deals with it in their own way. And, and that was the thing about Danny. It's so impressive that he's just got the balls to say that he doesn't understand how people can be so happy to have not won. He's there to win, and when he doesn't win, he's pissed off. Simple as that. And fair play to him. So do you find that the rivalry you have with, obviously Manon's retired now, but let's add her into the equation, and the rivalry you'd say had with Manon and Rachel being British, do you find that's a more intense rivalry than you have with, say, like Miriam and Tracy because they're British?
I don't think I've ever seen it that way.
Yeah.
Personally, I to me, I'm always, if I lose, I'm not annoyed at anyone, I'm annoyed at myself.
Yeah.
And it's always, for me, it's always been a race against the clock. I had to learn that because you just can't focus on anyone in particular, because then you lose focus on yourself, and you know it's all like it just gets worse and worse. So not to me, no. I don't, the fact that they're British or not, or French, or nothing changes. But I do feel like maybe the fact that I'm British and I was up and coming, and I think that's why there's so much competitiveness between Rachel and I.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Go on then, George. I think I'm back to you.
Cool. At the end of 2016, you moved to Wales in the off-season, and you had a fantastic 2017, winning your first World Cup in Leogang, and then following it up with wins in Mont Saint Anne and Val di Sole. Finished second in the overall behind Pom Pom, but you'd won more races than her. How big a part in that success was the move back to the UK?
I think it was definitely a part of the journey that was leading to my first win and stuff. So it was a huge part of it for sure. Just the whole scene and the vibe and everyone riding. And now I've got like this insane group of friends, and we would just hang out on session stuff. And I never really did that as a kid growing up in Morzine. Like obviously it's heaven for downhill, and the summer was insane, but not really many kids were into it, and especially not girls. So definitely coming back and being able to ride in the winter and just grab your bike with your mates and have a laugh, that's what I was missing in my life. So yeah, it helped a lot.
You said winning that first World Cup was just a feeling of relief. How big was it for you to get that kind of monkey off your back?
Yeah, it was a relief. It was a bittersweet one because Rach wasn't competing, and obviously we've mentioned it a few times. She's the biggest rival there is because she's so good. So I was happy that I got the win out of the way, but it wasn't my first win. Like it didn't feel like that's not what I was there for. Like obviously you race whoever's there, but deep down I was like, man, that's just not for me.
Yeah, why was she not there?
Yeah.
Okay. So Manon retired at the end of 2017, and obviously you two were very close. Did that affect you in any way? Was it difficult to adapt when she'd gone?
I didn't understand, I think, at first why she stops the way she did.
Yeah.
But I think as I've won more and learned more and lost more, and it's kind of, and grown up a lot more, it is very understandable. It's so intense. And I think now, second injury, it does make sense. But, sometimes I can imagine that it gets too much. But yeah, I was very confused at the time, and just, I remember trying to persuade her to not, and we would always go on rides before racing and after racing, or in between, like just our little spins and stuff. So I didn't start to miss that, but at the end of the day, I'm there to go and do a job, so you can't get too attached just if your mate's not there anymore. It's not middle school, is it? So
Yeah.
But no, she was a lot happier to do it that way, exactly like Josh Bryson was, and I'm stoked that she's kind of found some, a little niche, and she's stoked. So.
How many years older is she than you? Were you 1 year? I can't
2.
remember. So you weren't junior together?
No.
No. Okay.
The 2018, you had another 3 wins in Fort William, Val di Sole, and Val Nord. You podiumed at all but one World Cup, second in the overall behind Rachel, and if you hadn't been disqualified in Leogang after going off track, who knows what would have happened. How much did that hurt?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it
at the time, sorry, go ahead.
No, was it anger at yourself? Was it anger at the UCI? Was it?
I don't think I've ever been angry. It's just, the rules are the rules. It was a silly. What annoys me is obviously I didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like I obviously lost time. It was just like it was enough of a dig already. Like, but to then disqualify me when previous races it's been let go for some people, and the same race it would let go for some people. That's what's frustrating. But at the end of the day, nothing you can do, you know.
And didn't they
Luckily,
then change the rule after?
Yeah.
That if
it's because we can't, obviously we're going to go to the UCI and say we didn't manage to get hold of them till late in the evening, because you know what it's like, they're hard to get hold of, and they were like, oh, it's too late to change anything now, but yeah, you're right. And we're like, so
that's just pathetic.
like, when points are that valuable. But I then went on thinking, this isn't going to do anything to my season. I was like, let's do this. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be that one that can get disqualified and that can go on and, you know, not affect the season, which I don't feel like it did at all in the end. And yeah, I missed out on the overall, but I had such good races after that race. So who knows, if I'd have won that race or even got third or whatever, it might not have been the same.
Yeah.
It's crazy, really, when you look at it, that you've been second twice, and the first time you won more races than Pom Pom, and the second time you got a kind of a weird DSQ in Leogang.
Yeah.
That's pretty unlucky, isn't it, really?
It is, but, you know, I'm not the only one to get unlucky in sport, and I don't know. I feel like people knew, you know, the people who mattered, the people that were close to me, everyone knew. I knew that I'd won the most World Cups, that I'd performed at my best, but I just didn't deserve to win the overall, obviously. If not, I would have done. So, I don't know, I was stoked for both Pom Pom and Rach that won. You know, they've had their unlucky times, and that high must have felt so high compared to their lows that they've had. And I'm sure I get my high soon. So
yeah, and that's a really good, mature attitude to have, and it's the best attitude to move forward from. If you were spitting your brain out, complaining, and then how do you move forward positively and build on it? Whereas everything you've just said, you can build on that and become a better athlete and a better competitor. So
you talked before about you follow a process rather than following race results, and a few people we've had on have said exactly the same thing, that because if the race results dip, you know, you can't pick yourself up from that, so you have to follow the process. Rachel's run at Worlds in Lenzerheide in 2018 is probably, I think, hands down, in my mind, the best female downhill run I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was outstanding, to be fair.
I think it
was smoke up her ass, but it was amazing.
Yeah, I think she was it was something like 11.8% back on Loic's time that day, which is really close for a female athlete. Did you leave Lenzerheide thinking that's the run of a lifetime, you can't stop it? Or was it, I want to do that to everyone else? What effect did kind of that run have on you?
What, my run or her run?
Her run.
Her run to me, I don't mean it in a bad way, but wasn't my problem. Like, if that makes sense, it's not my.
You couldn't do anything.
I wasn't there. Yeah, looking like I learned stuff from her run because she put 1,010% in it, but so much could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
And we all like, that was 110% race run. And she said it herself. Like, there are so many times that she nearly went down, and fair play to her for not. But I'm not that racer. I don't give 110%. And I took it as a compliment, because the only reason she went 110% was because I had crashed in qualies and I was still ahead. And, you know, and at this point we were neck and neck all season. So yeah, I was super peed off when I got down, because my run was terrible. Like, I stiffened up, and it's not often that happens. But I hadn't had a medal for 4 years. I'd crashed in every single World Champs run since my junior years. So, the bronze medal I got at half gel. So for me to finish on the podium with a crap run, like silver medal, I was like, I'll take that.
Yeah, and as you said.
The run was outstanding, like insane run, but it doesn't, for me to think about it or dwell on it, won't bring me forward or won't help me in any way, you know.
Did you think she'd retire afterwards?
Well, there were rumours about it, but I've raced Rachel a long time. I raced Rachel a long time, and you know, I probably know her a lot better than a lot of people, even if we're not super close.
Yeah.
But I didn't think she was going to retire, no.
Yeah. So on to 2019, last season. Before we go to talk about Maribor, you didn't go so well at Rayola at the national before. Now,
I was talking about this the other day. That's mad.
Is it because you're one of those athletes who sees events like that as not a great deal of benefit versus risk when there's a big race coming up? Was there another reason?
I don't know. I honestly, if I knew the answer, then I
Tell me.
would be able to tell you. Yeah, it's just, I have no idea. I do so crap at nationals. It's insane. And everyone's like, oh, she's playing the game or she's holding back. I'm like, I'm not. I went as fast as I could. Like, I don't know why I'm 10 seconds back. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I do feel like maybe there's not as much of me to gain.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's more about focusing on all the little details for me at stuff like that, on stuff that I have time to work on, because at World Cups you don't, and you don't actually get that many races. So for me at a race like that, it's more all in tiny details, food wise, and I don't know, other stuff. So
Like
I don't really
rod.
focus. Yeah, it's the result. And for being so competitive, it's crazy, but the result for me at a national just doesn't, I don't know, I guess I've been beaten so many years in a row by, like we said, Rachel and Manon. For me, like, a national win just isn't, I don't know, just doesn't mean as much to me.
When we had Reese on the podcast, he said that...
I'm just going to turn my light on, sorry, because it's getting dark in here.
Yeah, you're starting to disappear gradually.
I know. There we go.
I'll let you get settled. Yeah, when we had Reese on the podcast, he said that it's such a risk doing a full race run at full tilt that he can't get up for doing that at nationals. You're either a World Cup rider or you're a nationals rider, and he just can't motivate himself to put it on the line at a kind of national level.
Yeah, I think, you know, we always used to say to Kaos and our juniors and all the people we've had on the team, we like, because they're so invested in internationals. You are as a kid, because that is a mini World Cup. All the pros are there. It's insane. But you say to them, you'll realize when you start racing, you know, World Cups, you kind of realize that you just don't want to risk as much as at nationals, because you do have a World Cup to go to. And that's where kind of, you know, your job is. You know, I know a lot of athletes that, you know, their contracts demand more from World Cups than they do nationals. And, you know, I sadly slowly started to drop out of nationals purely because I was so tired from racing the World Cups, even if there's not many. But training wise, when you go racing, you detrain, like, it just depends. For me, nationals were practice.
Yeah.
They were training.
Yeah. Okay. So you then went on to win the first round of the World Cup Series in Maribor. How did you feel after winning that, looking ahead at the rest of the season, knowing you were leading the series with the one?
I felt good.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I felt really good. I felt good when I was in Maribor. I felt, you know, I trained so hard. Yeah, I had good feelings about the whole season, and I worked super hard for Maribor. That whole week it felt so nice to take the win there. So, but yeah, obviously we all know what happened.
Yeah. What was
I
it?
know
like?
what's coming.
What was it like rocking the #1 plate for a few corners at Fort William?
I think I made about 4 corners down, but for those 4 corners, I don't even know I had the #1 plate on. You don't see it, do you? But no, it was so mad. I actually thought when I got the #1 plate, I was like, how have I not had this before?
Yeah.
I was like, how is it only just now? But it was cool. It was so cool. I didn't let go of it. I had it in my bag all day. I was just like, this is cool. Maybe jinx myself a little bit, but oh well.
Talk us next time.
Talk us through the crash then. Was it on the steps, the 3 steps?
Yeah, it was. You know what? I was in the gondola with Rachel.
She's back again.
You put a spell on you or something.
I know, and she was like, "Oh, I wonder how bad the track has to get before it's real bad." I don't know. I was like, Fort William never changes. Like, it's always the same. She was like, "I don't know. It's rained a lot." I was like, It'll be the same as it always has been. Come into this triple drop, double drop thing, and there's a hole right where there's never a hole. And that front wheel just went straight into it. And Fort William's annoying because, you know, like we say, being complacent is dangerous. And, you know, we have nationals there, we train there. I know exactly where the track goes, but the tape was slightly different. And when you're racing or practicing, you follow the tape. And I followed the tape and it wasn't my line. And yeah, I don't know, just came in hot for a first run, I guess. I love it when it's raining and when I'm riding raining, but it was so cold. That yeah, I just wasn't prepared, I think, to take an impact like that.
Yeah. I remember watching Red Bull, and I think that was it before that race they asked you to say "I'm here to win" or something like that.
Yeah, I refused to say it though.
You refused to say it. Why did that bring up like red flags for you?
I'm just not. I would never. I don't know. That's just, to me, that's being overly confident, and I'm not that person. So yeah, I struggle a lot with confidence. So that was when they told me to say that, I was like, "Are you joking?" I was like, and they were like, "Oh, are you not here to win?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I do. I want to win, but I'm not here."
You don't want to come across as arrogant.
Yeah, I don't. Like, there are many races that can win, but why should it be me? Like, I just want to keep. I don't know. I was a dark horse for so many years. I like keeping myself quiet and to myself. So yeah, that was a bit of a red flag to me.
So you were out for like nearly 3 months, returning for World Champs at Mont Saint Anne, where kind of mind-blowingly, really, after an injury like that, you picked up a silver medal. It looked like it'd be really tough to come back from a shoulder injury and be competitive there. Were you surprised with yours and Pom Pom's results, or were you and her kind of playing the game a bit? I know you were out in Whistler beforehand. Were you both like, yeah, we're going under the radar here. We're actually back up to full speed here.
It seems that way.
Back to dark horse territory.
Yeah.
I think Pom Pom definitely knew she had a shot. Yeah. For sure. From, I spent the 2 weeks in Whistler pretty much riding with her and chilling with her, and yeah, she seemed confident, but not overly. She was just enjoying riding her bike in Whistler, and she looked good. And I rode with her. I couldn't keep up, and it didn't really matter to me because we were on such different. I was going to Whistler to ride my bike again. She was in Whistler to get ready for Worlds, so we were there for two very different reasons. And she raced the Crankworks race and she won that. And yeah, I just think she felt really good on her bike and she was enjoying her bike time. The last day we went to the bar at the bottom of the hill and we were having a drink, and like literally end of day, someone's coming down and we were saying, could you imagine if we went 1 and 2 at Worlds? And she said to me, she was, I don't care if you win or I win, as long as it's one of us, 1 and 2. She was like, how good would that be? And I laughed and I was like, well, you can go ahead if you want, but I think I'm pretty far behind, like from the riding we'd done and stuff. And that was literally the last words we said to each other in Whistler, and then turned up to Worlds. And that's why on all the podium pictures we're both like, we look like 2 little kids.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe it. No, we couldn't believe it.
Had you been close to her before kind of last season?
Yeah, I've been close to Pom Pom a long time. I've known her for a very long time, but only over the past, I'd say 3-4 years have we got close. We're just into the same things. I think we're the same type of racer. We've got the same mindset. We're both just there to kind of enjoy riding our bikes, and that's it really. So I think we can kind of...
Would you enjoy being on a team with her?
It's funny you asked that. No,
obviously, that would be 2 of the top 5 women together all the time.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't accept an offer with another top female rider.
You wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't.
You don't think it would work well?
I don't think that it wouldn't end well. I just think.
No, I said
for me to picture any team, huh?
I said work well, not end well. I meant like the dynamic. I didn't mean like cat fighting.
No, I think it would work well, but With Pom Pom, I'd be all right.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's hard because all I've ever known is being not center of attention, but I've worked hard to get to where I am, with my dad and my family and stuff, and hence why I've never gone for a big team, I guess. So yeah, the thought of it, I can't really ever imagine something like that.
Yeah, we're going to come on to that stuff in a bit, but I just thought with you talking about it there, I thought, oh, I wonder what you'd say if I asked you if would you like to be together on a team?
Do you ever train with any of the other top girls to kind of help push each other along, or?
Well, me and Pom Pom rode with each other in Mont St. Anne and Snowshoe, and we ride together. We do a few runs together, like here and there at the World Cups. But it's hard because you want to look at different things. You want to, stop and check stuff out. But in Mont St. Anne, she took me over all the technical stuff. I would have stopped and looked, but I just followed her in, and she just literally picked her bike up over everything so easy first run, and I was just like, oh my god, like that was not a good start for me. So it's funny, I got to the bottom and I was like, right, I'm gonna do the jump then, the big jump at the bottom, and I was like, right, your turn to follow me, and because this is what happens, she does the tech stuff, I do the jumps, it's just the way we are. And she was like, you're gonna do that first run? I was like, she literally went through the best line in the rock garden first run, like I was behind her. Oh my god. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do the jump first run. So I went and did the jumps first run just to prove a point. I was like, I can do this too. So yeah, I think we definitely pushed each other on. Yeah,
nice. Oh, that's cool. So with yourself, Miriam and Rachel out for a chunk of last season, we saw a big kind of change in the dynamic of the women's top 10. It's going to be really exciting to see what happens when we do go racing with that top 10, with you all being hopefully back and fit and healthy. What's your take on how the top 10 is going to look? Have you got any kind of riders that you're looking at?
I don't know. I'm super excited to see how Valley gets on, because I think that was the most exciting time for me. So, coming up through the ranks, and I'm a bit, it's frustrating for her that her first year of elite has been taken away from her. Obviously, there's a lot more going on in the world, but I feel like, she really could have made her mark, and that would have been really cool for her. But I have no idea. Marine stepped it up, but that was no surprise. That was always going to happen. Yeah. It's kind of, when you're in it every day, you see these patterns, and I feel like, the girls' confidence did grow a lot without the girls being there. But to me, it kind of made me think, like, why did that have to happen for their confidence to grow? Like, the podium spots were never taken in the first place. So I think it was good for them all, for sure. But I tend not to obviously watch it when I was injured and stuff. I tried not to. I did follow it, but just not as closely as I usually would be invested into it. But yeah, it was cool to see. But like I say, I would love for them to attack the runs as much as they did then when we're there as well. I feel like there was a point where maybe they felt defeat before it even started. And I used to feel like that a lot with Rachel. But yeah, hopefully, the spot's always open. It's never got someone's name on it. So
you're excited to see the category becoming more competitive, and you do want to see those girls pushing on and challenging.
Well, that means the win will be so much sweeter. So it's just exciting, isn't it? You work, well, not that I don't work hard, but you just work a lot harder. You'll be more focused, and that win will mean a lot more.
Yeah, cool.
Red Bull formation. Tell us a little bit about that. How gnarly was it?
It was pretty gnarly, but at the same time, we were safe. We were super safe, maybe too safe. But yeah, Katie Holden came to see us in, where was it, Whistler, kind of gathered us around, a few girls, and she was like, look, I want to put this group together. What do you think? This, that, and the other. And we were like, yeah, we'll come out to Utah, like, pretty crazy. But when we got there, I was just like, oh my God. Like, this, I was like, I thought I knew what they, because I ride a bike, I go down steep stuff, like I know what cliffs look like. But I just didn't expect for that type of exposure, and like I couldn't even walk up to the top. I was just like, there is no way I'm walking up there. And I didn't even have a bike on me. We were just going to scope the lines, and I was like, nah. there's no way. There's like ridges like this small with
Yeah.
like 100-foot cliffs either side and like a little drop. And some of the girls, like, they're way gnarlier than me. Like Michaela was like, oh, that's just a little drop. I'm like, yeah. The one next to it isn't.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, but you just have to clip a pedal. I was like, yeah, exactly. You just have to clip a pedal. No, in my luck, I'd clip a pedal. I was like, no, there's no way. So yeah, we were allowed to I think it was more about experience in the desert, getting to actually, first-handedly see what the guys do and just kind of push each other and get comfortable in that environment.
So, racing, not that it's never not been serious, is now so intense and serious among all of us, I guess, but certainly the top athletes. The level's improving year on year. Would you say you're 100% about racing as an athlete? May seem like a strange question, but it won't in a minute.
I don't really know how to answer that because I don't know what I'd do without racing. Like, I go mental without racing. I love racing. My heart has always been in racing. And I had to learn to not race, to have fun, like I said, when I picked up a bike and sessioned with everyone else. And that's great, but it doesn't bring me the same like feelings that racing does. It just doesn't. So I guess I'm super invested into racing, but I'm also a strong believer that that's not it. Like that, I get the same joy when I'm riding a bike. It's super hard because like I'm such a racer. Like, I love racing and I will only switch on when I need to. But I've also learned to kind of love the part that isn't racing. But I had to learn that, which I find quite funny.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and it leads me nicely into where I am going with it. So you spend a lot of time with Kaos and Kade, obviously, who are both incredibly talented, flamboyant young riders. I don't think either of them would argue with me if I said they probably weren't 100% about racing, especially Kaos. I think, is it the free racer thing they're developing? Free racer?
You know what? It's super hard with those two to know because they're so unpredictable.
But the free race is the term, isn't it?
I think that's what, but yeah.
So,
Chaos, yeah.
Yeah. So do you ever find yourself feeling like you're getting distracted or maybe pulled away from the strict kind of training regime that you'd live by, being fully focused on racing and doing more kind of fun sessions like you've described, playing around with
Yeah,
that?
I think it's funny because we're opposites. So the boys will avoid training, not avoid it, but they're like, oh, trails, same as the gym. Whereas I'm like, I just won't miss a gym session unless I really have to, or a training session. Like, I get super paranoid if I don't, or if I miss something. I feel like I've got that constant feeling that I feel like I'm never doing enough. And the boys have that, but in their in that side of their riding, they feel like they're not getting enough tricks. They feel like they're missing out on fun. Like the FOMO they have of not, like, missing out on a trail session or jumps. Like, Kate, oh my God, you would not believe it. Like, it is insane. They just love riding their bikes. Like, I've never seen it before. And I can quite happily put my bike down for, a week. And I like to get the itch to ride again, but they do it for like 5 minutes. And it's just, to me, it doesn't make sense. So in a way, we work really well together because they take me away from that paranoia of not training enough, this, that, and the other. And it's really good for me mentally. And then vice versa, I think, when they see me training and sometimes, they feel like they haven't done that, they'll come and join me and stuff. So I think it's actually like a really, really good balance.
Yeah. What I've taken from what you've said there is that your focus is the racing. And as you say, the things that they add to your training is good. And that was what I was going to say. Like, do you feel the opportunity you have to train on the bikes with those guys gives you a bit of an advantage in terms of like broadening your training on the bike, improving your skills,
Yeah,
and
for
confidence
sure.
on the bike that some of the other girls might not have.
Yeah, I think like the boys helped me a lot, but I think the difference is they're so good. I can't really relate to anything they do, like ever. So, for example, Vero, who I go riding with all the time, who lives not far from me at all, I think she's helped me immensely with my riding because, you know, I learned how to do a no-hander last year because she was doing it, and like it made me, like, I enjoyed having that, seeing that tiny bit of progression that when you're at the top of, you know, your game and you're trying to improve those tiny milliseconds and you don't always see it, that side of things was super refreshing and made me, you know, fall in love with bikes all over again.
Yeah, and adds confidence to your whole package, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's been like, I think riding with Vero is probably one of, on the top list of, you know, things that have helped me on my bike for sure.
But riding with the boys, difficult to kind of take.
Yeah, it's hard because they're too good. Like, I can't follow them down a hill. I can't, like, oh, I'm going to do an Oppo 360. It's like, oh. So, let's have a game of bike. It's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, I can imagine. So, obviously, I asked you about Pom Pom. I don't think you've ever had like a top 10 male teammate. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you get any benefit from that?
I don't know. I think I enjoy working stuff out on my own so much. And like I say, like it is good to have the lines of those boys, obviously, in the help. You end up seeing that anyway on tape, like you end up seeing it. And like, I wouldn't mind having another, but you know, we just can't afford it. You just wouldn't be able to. But I do feel like sometimes it would be very helpful. But then I'm like, but I'm my own racer anyway. Like, we won't see the same things. Like, the amount of arguments me and Kaos have on track walk on where to go is just like I have to walk away. So, like, I think I know my own ability, and I do have confidence in my own ability, and I think, you know, having Kade there anyway and Kaos there, I can go and talk to them, and there's no one I trust more than those two people anyway. So
yeah, they're certainly going to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I don't know, and I like there's never anything I've kind of looked at other than like a gnarly line, but it's not very often that I will chicken out of something, or if there's a jump, like I'll be like, well, I've got to do it, like like there's no doubt that I'm not going to end up doing it.
Yeah. Cool.
As a Red Bull athlete, do they steer you in any particular direction? Just thinking back to the kind of formation thing.
Not really. For like, obviously we have, like, I'm very close to Red Bull UK, and whatever Red Bull or what they do, I have no idea about,
Right.
unless they contact me for something. But no, they just leave me to it, I guess. You know, I don't know. I know there's an image, you know, painted of them being strict and stuff, but they have given me so much, like, freedom with what I do, and they've let me be me, which I was actually quite scared of, you know, at first. But yeah, no, incredible support, obviously, with all my rehab and stuff. And yeah.
How did you find working for them in front of the camera last season? Is it something you'd like to do when you retire from racing?
It was a lot of work.
More than you expected.
Yeah, I said to the guys, I was like, oh, I'm coming to Andorra, give me some work. Like, I don't really want to watch the race. So, well, I do want to watch it, but I don't want to get invested. So, you know, give me the mic, I'll go and talk to some riders. And like, I had this earpiece and it was going off like every 5 minutes. They were like, whatever you do, don't turn your earpiece off. And I was just like, so is this what you do all day? Like, I was so tired. I was running back and forth. And then some of the questions I had to ask the riders, oh my God. And then some of them don't shut up. And I was like, is this what I do when I'm on camera? Like, yeah, in your ear, they're like, oh, you need to cut them off. And I'm talking, who am I talking to? You know what? I think it was Loza. And I was just like, okay, thanks, bye. That's literally what you have to do. I felt very mean. And it was a hard job, so credit to them.
That's my day job, the producer. So I'm the guy talking to you, telling you, right, cut them off now. Right, we've got an ad break. Go, go, go.
Honestly, it was hard, but I got the hang of it. And, it was pretty fun. So I think maybe after I'm done, I don't know, I'd love to commentate on people's runs, but I feel like I might slip a few naughty words or some, I'm not very good at biting my tongue. So I feel like I would be a bad choice in the commentary.
So round 1 last season, you were live on Red Bull TV when Greg Minnaar didn't qualify for the first time. How awkward was that?
That's like top of the list on most awkward moment in my life.
Yeah.
Like, that was bad. Yeah.
Did they do another one after that? I never watched. I don't know. Did they do another qualifying thing? No. It was not nice. And Kade was there as well. And Kade had just got back from his broken leg. Right. And was it his first year? I think it was his first elite race. Yeah.
And he had a rerun because of the wet, and he was top 15 actually until he crashed at the bottom, and then he didn't get in either. So the whole show was just a bit like, and obviously they were like, "Oh, just act normal," and then it was like we could hear behind us like Greg being pushed back every second, and I was just kind of like, we were just all looking at each other like, "Oh my god, this is so awkward." Took the mic off, and Greg was just like.
So sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was hard to be around. But cool. he took it like a man, bless him. He dealt with it pretty well.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's take a quick break there. We'll be back with the Revolution Bike Park big questions after these messages. On to the Revolution Bike Park big questions then. Question number 1. You've won World Cups on 6 different tracks. What's your favourite track on the World Cup circuit?
Maribor.
Good answer. What section of track on the World Cup circuit do you think is the most difficult to race?
Probably the first part, I reckon.
Of any track, okay, I get you.
Yeah.
Like getting into your run. That's a good answer, actually.
Yeah. I think that's where it's like struggled with over like a certain amount of people.
Yeah.
Like that's where probably people would struggle with most. And I know that like those first like 10 seconds I can never remember.
Yeah.
I'm just blank. So God knows what happens like in those 10 seconds.
You normally have a strong top split? Sorry, do you normally have a strong top split?
Yeah, actually, well, previously that was a problem. Is I used to have no, actually, my previous problem was my last splits were really good and my first splits were really bad.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get into it, and then I worked on it a lot, and now my first splits I usually win the top split, and then I just gradually get slightly worse.
Question number 3. Is Kade the most talented bike rider of his generation?
Kaos will not agree. No, Kaos would agree. Kade is very talented. Yeah, I think so. And I think he hasn't showed what he's capable of. It's annoying. It's just annoying. Yeah, he's insane, and he gets better every day, which it's just I don't understand.
Do the injuries not bother him? Because
you see, we are so different. They do bother him a lot. Like he gets super down, and he keeps very under the radar when he's got an injury. He didn't want to tell anyone, and I had to push him to be like, you have to tell people, because you have to realize now you've got a platform and you've got fans and people want things from you. They're not going to see you as anyone different. Like you just. He's like, oh, I don't want to be that person that like milks an injury though. I'm like, you mean like me? That's what you mean. But no, he's they just honestly first time back on his bike, just where he left off.
Yeah.
Is the main thing that bothers him the fact that he can't ride while he's injured? because he's so.
It's also the FOMO, like his fear of missing out is just like, and then like he's obviously we're happy for everyone, but he sees Kaos learning new tricks, or it gets to him, or his team going on a team camp, and he gets really low because he's just so invested into riding his bike.
Yeah.
Really, really random question from me, but what's your favourite track to ride at Revolution?
Probably Vision.
I thought you would say Vision.
Yeah,
but
I love Vision.
It was the thing about you.
Or Far Side.
You see, yeah, I was like, is it the racer? Is it the fun?
To be fair, the thing is, I always sneak up and do a few runs on Far Side when everyone's sessioning Vision. But I love Vision so much. But I equally love Far Side. You can go so fast down Far Side, like if you commit, and it is a good feeling. Jack knows it is insane. Far Side is such a good track. I wish it was a bit longer. It's so good.
Yeah.
On to 2020 then. There were a lot of team rumours in the off season, and it got out pretty early that you were joining Canyon. What fueled the move, kind of, because your relationship with Transition looked pretty special?
Yeah, our relationship with Transition is like amazing. We've never worked with people like that. They were family, and they still are, and they were very invested in our program, and they didn't care. They didn't care whether we won World Cups, or they really liked our personalities. And I think for a family team to have such good support in that way was very special to us. And we still are super close with them, but it comes a time where, Transition is a small company, and they like being a small company. And I think it's amazing, but there's a certain point on a World Cup team, it takes so much effort and money, and like it's just so demanding, and we needed more money to be able to get around the world and to expand. Like Dad's dream was to expand the team and make it, we didn't want to keep traveling in the Canberra as much as we've had it from day one. We wanted to look more professional, and we needed just even stuff like paying the mechanics properly, and them not doing it out of their own will, and it's just stuff like that. I think we just needed more of a what's the word? More of a
bigger.
Yeah, not bigger, but just safer almost. Not safer, because Transition, I know they would have had my back forever.
Yeah.
But for the racing and for that side of things, it seemed like the step forward. We'd been with Transition for 4 years. We developed a racing bike. It was amazing, but it was just it was on the cusp of a change, and I think it was definitely the step in the right direction.
You're still under the FMD banner. Tell us a bit more about the new team setup and how it fits with the Canyon factory team. Are you going to be sharing pit space, or?
I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to share, because obviously we were going to turn up to Loser with this massive setup, which is probably arguably now the biggest setup, which for us is insane, because we've come from the smallest, one of the smallest. So we've every year kind of got a little bit bigger, and we had some exciting plans. We were not under the same roof, but were under the same roof. It was just going to be like, we're going to come in with a bang. So I don't want to just in case we get a race this year or something, I don't want to ruin the surprise. But we were so excited. Obviously you've probably seen that Dad got a lorry for the team.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
And his whole winter, every day, I felt so sorry for him.
My dad did the same. 4 months on the drive, converting a new race van for us. We went to Portugal in it, and then had to spin it back round 5 days later and come home.
Oh man, honestly.
And it's heartbreaking.
Blood, sweat and tears every single day.
I
felt horrible. I was like, oh, bless. But hopefully we get to take it around, because it's something super exciting for all of us, because this has been the dream since day one. So
we'll be back at it, don't worry.
Apart from the frame, have you got the same sponsors you had before?
No, so we've moved to Renthal.
Right.
Bars, stem. I think that's it. I think that's the only change we've had.
Was that an important thing for you to stay with the same?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's not that I'm against change, but I'm a perfectionist, and my attention to detail is like just very severe and very annoying, and I notice anything that's changed on my bike. So like we needed to keep the same setup and just go for a different frame, and that was the goal really. So we've just replicated everything with the new bars and stem. We've kind of got the new like just same size as before, but different brands, because you start changing everything and all of a sudden you don't know how to ride a bike anymore.
Yeah. So you've mentioned your dad, and I can relate to that myself, because since I started racing in 2007, me and my dad have been going to the World Cups together, and like I've just said, like he's so invested in it. Your dad's clearly the same. Tell us a little bit about the dynamic and the relationship between you and your dad.
I mean, where do I start? He's just always been there, I don't know what I like, because obviously there's going to be a day he's going to not want to do it, or I guess he won't be able to do it, or mum doesn't enjoy him being away as much anymore. It's just, I can't really imagine him not being there. There's never been a race where he hasn't been there, not a single one. So
yeah, well, from anything I've seen, I would imagine he's going to see out your career. I wouldn't really be worried about that. From every conversation I've had with him, he's pretty committed to the cause.
I know, he used to say to us, he was like, when we'd get grounded when we were younger, he was like, I've not taken you racing, and you knew for a fact he was going to take you racing, because he loves it so much. He'd just be like, whatever, like that's obviously not going to happen. Like at first it would be like the most daunting thing in the world, but we kind of figured out after that he's not in it just for us. He loves it.
How does he work with Kaos? Because obviously you're still doing exactly what you started doing at the start of your career. You're still fully focused on your racing, etc. Kaos is obviously evolving his brand as Tahnée Seagrave. Has your dad been fully supportive of the changes he's made since the start, or at the start of him backing away from racing and doing other things, was that more of a shock for your dad at the start?
Yeah, I think it's been hard, because you could only really make it as a racer that like before, kind of, or it's new. Like the free racer term is kind of new. It's not, Brendan, that's probably the only one who made it happen, and he still podiumed at World Cups, and I think Kaos has what it takes. As we saw in his first year elite, before he broke his collarbone, he got like 20 something or early 30 place in Croatia for his first year. So, but he's just, I feel like it's one of those things at school when you get given a subject you're not that keen on, and you go into a subject that you are keen on, you'll give everything. And I think for Dad that was hard to understand, because for him there was just racing. Yeah. And when Kaos started to kind of not lose focus, but interest, he lost a bit of interest in the racing side of things, because it wasn't fun for him, because Dad is pushy and Dad wanted him to be as good as what I was doing, or maybe as good as, Rach and G. Like maybe that was his idea from the beginning. And I think the fact that he saw that slipping away a bit was difficult, which I can completely understand, because Dad's invested his entire life into us and this whole team and things. But I kind of try and stick my nose in where I can and help out, because Kaos is more than capable, as we've seen. He's just finding his feet. I think he's what, 20? He's just finding his feet and where he wants to be, and he's so talented that I don't doubt that he'll be fine. But I think as a parent and as a team manager, it can get pretty frustrating.
Yeah, and I think from your dad's perspective, as you've just said, maybe he has, grand ideas of you guys being the next G and Rach in the race environment. But I would imagine what he ultimately wants for Kaos is for him just to be successful in what he's doing. And once he started, I guess, to understand the the fact there is a clear future in free racing and social media promotion of your tricks and things like that. Yeah, I guess it's, it'll only get easier for him to understand.
I can't remember who won Hardline last year, but I remember his run. Yeah,
exactly. He got a lot of compliments for that. His passion for riding bikes comes across, and I think it's hard for Dad to see that sometimes at home, because he's not the hardest worker. He won't go into the gym every day, but he will ride his bike every day. It's just how you see things. I think it's all about perspective and how you see it. And I think it's got to be hard as a parent to invest everything and see a kid not go to the gym and stuff, but it's definitely working out, and it's getting there. It's getting there.
So following on from that, most kids do start their racing careers in mountain biking, especially downhill, with their parents, with the nature of the sport, the travel and the money and things like that. What advice would you give to any young aspiring teenage racers who are listening to this and are spending weekends with their mum and dad, maybe in a tent or whatever at the races in this high pressure environment? Any kind of do's and don'ts that spring to mind of being in that environment with your mum, with your dad? Put you on the spot, but
I don't know. I think I've just learned to kind of be a bit numb to what my dad says. There's an off switch now that's quite easily to tap into. But no, I think you've got to appreciate that. I think when you're young and you're a teenager, it's so hard to see that they're doing everything they can so that you can do what you want to do. So when you don't put in 110% effort, for them it's seen as that you don't care or you don't appreciate it. And I think as long as you're appreciative and you understand where they're coming from and you do put in the work, then the relationship. But there's going to be downs. I slammed my door on my dad so many times, locked myself in my room, told him I'm never going to ride again, never going to race again. It's normal, no? Is that not normal?
That's very normal.
Yeah, that's what I just think. It's completely normal. And I just, I don't know. I think as long as you've got a big goal in mind, I think, and you just keep dreaming, there's no way it won't happen.
Yeah, I think my best advice would be, because I think I'm the opposite to you guys. My dad is very calm and always there and helping me do well. He's calm until his buttons push, but I'm the fireball at the races, and I'm the one that flies off the handle. And I've had so many experiences at the races where I have just been an absolute fuck towards my dad. And the important thing I would say to any parent-child combination that go racing and have these moments where it gets volatile is to just remember that it was all just heat of the moment and apologize and move on, because
emotions are so high. So like I say, when you've got a parent giving everything they've got and the kid feels like they're giving everything they've got, but the perspective's different from each side, it's just never gonna gel until it feels like, for the kid, when I was growing up, it felt like this isn't true, but it felt like my dad was only happy when I won, and that's what I kept seeking. I was like, oh, when I win, he'll be all right, he'll get off my back. Turns out he didn't. So he's, but that was never the case. The case was he just wanted me to, do the best I could and be happy. But as a growing teenager, losing my mind, you just don't see it like that.
Yeah.
So I have to tell you this. I've got a 2-year-old daughter, and I always thought to myself, don't ever be a pushy dad. Don't ever push them into anything. And this afternoon, she went on a pedal bike for the first time with stabilizers, and I took a photo, and I genuinely looked at it and went, good body position.
I thought you were going to say I took the stabilizers off.
Yeah, he's better than mine. I was like, yeah, world champ. She's definitely world champ.
Oh, brilliant.
I actually remember when I was younger, Dad, this was way before I was even into mountain biking. He took my stabilizers off, but didn't realize my chain had come off as well. So he obviously he let go of me, and I think this is probably where the trust issues come from. He pushed me forward, and I went to pedal, and nothing happened. I just went straight to the floor. I can't even remember how old I was. I was probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So yeah, ever since, don't listen.
So the race support, who's in the tent? There's your dad. Is Chris Kilmurray at the races with you? Is that right?
Yeah, Kilmurray stays with us.
Yeah. Who else is vital in there to help you have a good weekend?
So Dad, Kaos, Chris Kilmurray, Jen. So Jen is our masseuse. She does all my lovely massages at the end of the day. Yeah. So that sounds like it's so spoiled. But she does like some of the cooking as well. She holds the whole team together. And then there are the mechanics, so Jake and Owen. But yeah, obviously we had the juniors as well. Sorry,
did you have Jen when you were on transition, or is that one of the things that you've been? All right, so you.
But I don't know how long she's been on the team now for. Probably like 4, maybe since we signed a transition.
Right.
Nice.
But yeah, it's all these little things that you realise over time you need at the races.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the stuff that people who are just watching the Red Bull TV on a Sunday, I don't think they realise how much it goes into these programs and how much behind the scene work there is.
Yeah, and how much the team has to gel as well. It's like the team is my family, and I couldn't have someone in my corner or around that I didn't trust, and I trust them with my life 110%. So that feeling of going racing and knowing that they've got my back no matter what is just like, to not have to think twice about that is, I consider myself so lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what can you tell us about the new bike then?
Nothing.
Are you not allowed to? Because obviously we'd have all seen
bike.
we'd have all seen it by now.
Yeah. I can't really say much other than it's...
Is it a mullet?
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, it depends.
Depends who you are.
Were you involved at all with the design of it or anything like that, or had that all been done by the time you...
No, that had all been done. It's funny because when Canyon was first going to do a team, they asked me to sign then.
Right.
And at the time, Transition were coming in as well. And their bike at the time wasn't developed enough. And it was actually, they took a couple more years or a year or 2 to then come on the circuit with some adjustments to their old bike. But yeah, I've obviously tested the bikes and stuff, and I'm extremely happy with them. Like it feels like a race bike. It's there to do a job. So
are you on aero coil shock?
I'm on coil.
Okay. And any ideas when it'll be available to buy?
Well, this has kind of put a spanner in the works. I'm not too sure. I'd like to race it first. Show everyone that it does work. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I've got my hands tied on this one, I'm afraid.
Right,
that's fair enough. So our race kits can't really get much tighter nowadays, and we're tucking as much as we can. We've seen you've obviously done some aero testing in a wind tunnel. Did you learn anything that we didn't already know? Did you tell me
kind of the things we already thought about. It was just confirmation of what was right and wrong, like tucking in t-shirts or jerseys even, like visors. We did a few cuts in the visors. Yeah. That was like just stuff like such as like body positioning. But the thing is it's hard because it is going to help on some tracks and they are getting faster. But you don't really think about your position when you're racing down a hill as fast as you can. So I don't know. I think it was fun. It was beneficial in a way. Like I tried like my jeans compared to like a set of normal like trousers, and that was a difference. So
is the Denim Destroyer onto something or not?
Yeah. I think that's why he wears them. He's acting all cool, but it turns out it's the fastest thing out there.
All about the aero.
Yeah. But no, it was just everything we already know, which I'm sorry, I can't really bring anything new to the table.
I thought you were going to say that, to be fair.
Yeah, I wish I had some kind of like magic thing, but nah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You wouldn't share that on here anyway, right? So
probably not, no.
So I mean, We were going to ask if that's kind of affected any of the design work you do with your Fox kits, but I'm guessing a better question.
Just tighter.
Are you enjoying designing the Fox kits?
Yeah, no, I am a lot. Obviously, I don't have anything to do with like how it's tailored and stuff, but just the how it looks. And we had some amazing kits for this year, but obviously I wouldn't have been able to rep mine anyway. But yeah, I have a lot of fun doing that. I'm so thankful that they let me do that. I feel like it kind of brings out my personality a bit more, because I am quite quiet at the races and I do like to keep to my own thing. But I feel like, you know, it's the one thing that everyone sees, and I feel like I can really make noise of it. And I feel like a lot of people catch on to that, and I enjoy it.
No, definitely, and you are right. They are super cool. It's always nice to see you riding around them.
I'm always so stoked to get to the race, and like, just parade down the pits. So, look at this.
That's cool. I'll let you roll with this one, George.
So, Fabian Burrell's been known to be pretty ruthless in his career. How much time have you spent with him, and has he changed the way you approach racing in any way?
Too much time. No, I love Fab. He does come across, obviously, I think, as a racer. He's French for one, so we all know what we think about them. And I'm kidding. I'm half French anyway, so I can't really say anything about that. But no, he knows a lot. He's a very, very knowledgeable man, and he is so keen to pass that knowledge on. Yeah. And he's learned so much. And I think the hardest thing for him was maybe accepting that athletes on Canyon were different to him, and you know that like someone like Troy doesn't work the same way as him, and neither do the juniors. So I think it's been a good learning curve for him as well. Yeah. But I think we were super excited to come into this season. We've worked a lot together. He knows the bike really well. You know, he's an incredible rider, and he's as dedicated to pass on success than he was to succeed himself. And he's very knowledgeable.
Let's get on to the injury then. It looked brutal. Talk us through what happened.
I'd had a super heavy week of training, and we decided to go down to these trails that we found near Kidderminster, which is like an hour and a bit away from ours. So, and they run in the wet, and it'd been raining, so we'd been there once before, and we were all hyped. So we're like, let's go there. And it was towards the end of the session. You know what? I hate to admit this. I wore ankle braces for the first time to try them out. Right. You're not gonna and I didn't like them to begin with. Not I didn't like them, but I wasn't like the support. Almost there was too much, and I'm such a light-footed rider. I ride a lot with my feet, and I'm very I just like to feel the pedals. My shoes, my soles have always been super thin. So we were going to get some clips, and I took them off, and I went up a few times, rode all afternoon, was getting some sick clips, and then I wanted to get same jump. I was doing a T-bog, and I was like, oh, I could hold that for longer. I could get it more dip for sure. And I just held it too long and just crashed with it dipped. And I just it wasn't even bad, because dirt jumps are quite slow, and it was more of a step up type thing. So it was quite a flat landing. Right. But the fact that I was going slow, and I put my foot out, and all my body weight was I was like a bit off. And I felt it straight away. I knew straight away. It was it's just one of those super awkward, unnecessary injuries.
Yeah. When are you likely to be fit? What's the kind of timetable?
You know what? I don't even know. It's a lot worse than I thought it would be. I think 4 and a bit months or something.
Right. So when were you planning to come back into the World Cup? Were you?
Well, if everything had gone to plan, I would have come back for Andorra.
Right, yeah.
but it depended, and that was quite tight, and it depended on how I felt and if I wanted, because there was that gap as well after, so I might have just waited until the second half of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't believe it. Not like after my shoulder, it was just like, because I went such a long stint with no injuries, super lucky, never really considered getting injured, I guess, especially not one after the other.
Yeah, it's not something you think about, is it?
No. But now I do.
How are you?
think about.
How are you training at the minute then? What are you doing?
Well, training's kind of going back to normal. I literally did my first set of deadlifts yesterday, so only like 60 kg, but like for me that's incredible. I feel so tight today though, because I haven't been doing anything, just really small rehab exercises, and it's just so long, man.
Have you been kind of? Did I see you were using some kind of like bioelectrical stuff?
Yeah, so there's a few things. These are the sort of things I was going to mention. This is, I think if you're not surrounded by, obviously I'm surrounded by people who need to get me back or want to share the pattern with me to get me back as soon as possible. So I have all these little tricks. I try and share them on Instagram because people are like, how do you recover so quickly? And I was like, I'm not superhuman. I just, I've been through it now, and I've got the right people in my corner, and they suggest like things like this. So number one was something like a game ready and ice and stuff, but that's pretty normal. And then I've never used this, but a Neurocore. So they're little pads, and they send, I don't want to make it sound like they're not shocks, but they're like
impulses.
Yeah, it's like electrical stimulation. It's like neuromuscular stimulation, and I've seen them before, but never really. I don't know why I didn't think that was necessary. I don't think on my shoulder, we didn't use it on my shoulder because I didn't know of it at the time.
Yeah.
And the physios had suggested it, and what it does is it basically works your muscle for you. So I just sit there.
Sign me up.
Yeah. But no, that's probably the best bit of kit I've had. It's so not only does it doesn't build muscle, but it will maintain my muscle for me. So obviously when you get cut open, you lose everything.
Yeah.
Like you're not just the muscle, but all the little joints and the
fibers.
Nothing communicates. Like I don't know all the real terms and stuff, and what that does is sends almost messages to tell you that you're working and everything's still there, you're okay. But there's so many settings on it.
Blood supply.
There we go. But yeah, it's got loads of settings like training settings, recovery settings, like so many. It's been twice a day, every day, and so How long
does it take?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah, and you can change the what's it called, the strength of it and stuff. So obviously first time I was like, put it up loads. Or maybe not. Thought I was a bit tougher than I actually am, but no. But it's the sort of thing that people who aren't at the top of their sport or haven't got this type of support around them wouldn't know. I get so many messages like, what's this? Like how, that it's all those little things that help towards a better and a faster recovery.
Yeah, that's cool. So do you feel differently coming back from this injury than you do from coming back from the shoulder? Or is it just another hurdle to get over?
At the minute, like obviously I'm quite optimistic. I'm very positive about injuries, and I am a big believer in lessons are learned the hard way, but this one is super challenging. Like I feel like I got through my shoulder and life has been like, oh, you thought that was easy, huh? Take this.
Yeah, I got one.
This one, at first it's weird because at first I said I knew that it happened, but I looked at my ankle and it wasn't painful because at this point everything's ripped. And I look at it and I was like, oh, maybe it's just a bad sprain. And Vera's like, no.
Yeah.
I'm lying there on the floor, like just literally look normal. And she's like, I don't think that's a sprain. Like my ankle's like out here.
Yeah, I saw the video of it going back in.
yeah, that was like 5 hours after. And
Really?
but then they were like, oh, we're going to take you for an x-ray to see if you've broken anything. I was like, I haven't broken anything. Like, I know what broken bones feel like. Come back, oh, you've broken your fib and your tib. I was like, what? I was literally like, how has that even happened? It hasn't felt that bad. Like, my shoulder was super painful, like 12 out of 10 when I did it. Like, never want to, I can still remember, never want to experience something like that again. But this has been like a mellow pain, just really irritating. And it's more painful now than like the bit of where everything's kind of coming back to life. It's the hardest part, but I know it's getting there. So
Good.
I saw a post from you that said, if someone told me I was going to have all these injuries by the time I was 24, I'd still do it all over again. Do you
100%.
think... Say again, sorry.
100%.
Yeah. So do you think the potential injuries, though, are a big part in why we don't see more women racing? Or do you think it's to do with wider issues?
You know what? I never thought about that. I don't know. I think the fact that it is quite gnarly does maybe put a few people off.
Yeah.
But I'm scared of being injured. Obviously, everyone's scared of being injured. But like the feeling you get when you ride a bike, or like, it just doesn't compare. Like I'm scared to get back on my bike, but nowhere near, like, that doesn't compare to how excited I am to get back on my bike. Like, I don't know. It's weird, man.
I always think the injuries, the fear of them is worse than the actual injury.
Yeah. Well, I always thought, you know what? I said to Kate, it's so funny because he broke his wrist and he had surgery on it right before I did my ankle. I said to him, and he was stuck in his cast, and I was like, the worst. You know what the worst thing would be? I was like, a cast on your leg. I was like, that would be the worst. And then obviously I was like, oh, and I said to him, I was like, oh, like dislocating something. I was like, because I did my AC joint in my shoulder, I didn't actually dislocate it, and that was horrible enough. But I thought, oh, dislocating a joint would be horrible. I was like, I'm so scared of doing something like that. Turns out, it's not that bad. It could have been a lot worse. And it's just like, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So if anyone's listening, it's okay.
How would you encourage more female riders to give racing a go? And is there anything in particular you'd change to make it more appealing?
I think it's pretty scary because of I think people are quite embarrassed to start competing at like not a young age. So I think, I don't know, I feel like maybe as a kid sports wasn't the most enticing thing at school. You know, there's always bullies and it's never really that fun at school. It's, you know, I think people have just been painted the wrong idea of sports and cycling, especially, and riding bikes and the industry. And I don't know. I honestly, I would love to have the power to get way more women involved. But I do think they're slightly scared of obviously getting hurt and the amount of men there are in the sport, and maybe just scared of how they'll be perceived.
I started racing when I was 40. And I thought to myself, you know, you have this image of what downhill's going to be like, that you're going to have riders behind you shouting at you to get out of the way. And it's so not like that, because
I know.
You go through the ranks of riders that, unless you're in the top like few, there are always faster riders than you. And so if someone was to say, an intermediate rider would to be behind me and shouting at me to move along, then what they might be sat there thinking, oh, Danny Hart's behind me now, he can shout at me to move along. Do you know what I mean? And it's so people just don't do it, and it's just not like that at all. I don't think it's everybody's dead supportive, and that's what I found when I started doing it, and everybody was great.
Yeah. No, I think it's just, it comes across as something different. Like I say, at school, it's just, I think they kind of teach you, they don't really, it's not the same. I think people get scarred.
Yeah.
I honestly think if you're not really that sporty, or if you are not really that good, it kind of gets bullied into you. Like the good ones are always the popular ones, and I think that sticks with you when you grow up, and you kind of look at other sports, you're like, no thank you. But it's not at all like that. Obviously everyone grows up, and I think the cycling industry is probably one of the friendliest industries for sure, 1,000,000%.
Definitely. Have you ever wanted to get involved in like some kind of grassroots style female riding clinics to help women come into the sport and learn how to ride better and feel safer on bikes? Is that something?
Yeah, I think about it a lot, but it's hard when
Time. Yeah,
well, time, and the fact that I don't feel like I've done what I needed to do yet. And I'd like to take on a lot of things, but realize that you can't do that. Like you've got to be good at something like this, you have to be very specific, and you have to be super focused on only that. But I try and do women's days, and I actually did one this off season with Red Bull, and that turned out really good. It was the first one I did, and they all loved it, and I loved it. I thought it was amazing, and they were so chilled. Like some of them wanted to do vision, some of them wanted to go down free ride. But it doesn't annoy me, but it's when people go, oh no, you go, like you go, you'll be way faster than me anyway. It's like, I don't care. Like I'm riding my bike, aren't I? Like I don't care. Like I don't know. I enjoy seeing people progress, and trying to help them out and stuff. And I feel like sometimes I'm seen as a bit of an alien because I have won a few World Cups and stuff, but I enjoy that sort of stuff. I know the feeling of progress, and it's awesome. I love it.
Cool. So you've been, as we've said, second twice in the overall, and you've been second twice at Worlds. So obviously you're coming into the season recovering from your injury, but in terms of hopes and dreams, which one would mean more to you, a World Cup overall win or a World Champs win going into the season?
I don't know. Obviously, overall, you've got to be consistent and stuff, but everyone dreams about a World Champs jersey, don't they, and having the rainbow stripes. But I'm not sure if I'm insensitive towards those titles because of my first year in junior and expecting it and it crushing my dreams. Like I literally thought it was the end of the world when I didn't win. So I just feel like I don't really expect them. I don't attach myself to them. I don't think, that's going to be like in my room one day hanging up. I don't think like that, because that's not what will bring me joy. What brings me joy is the actual work and the process, and that's why the winning feels so good, is because of the work that you've done. But like I said earlier, you can do that work and not get the result you're expecting. So it doesn't really define who you are as an athlete and the work you've put in, I think. So but I would love to win them, obviously. It would be amazing. But I try not to get attached to those things.
Yeah. And national champs, how much is that on your radar? Is that a big desire?
No. No, which is sad, I think, because it used to be. It did used to be. But I think I came second so many times. It's just like, oh my God, I can't deal with that again. No, I don't know. I definitely, if I was there and if I planned it in my season, then obviously, and I'd love to rep the sleeve, but it just wouldn't match any of my kits,
Well,
that's fair.
Yeah.
I need a pink sleeve.
Yeah.
At 24 years of age, you've achieved so much already, and you've still got your best years ahead of you. Best of luck for 2020 when we do actually get going. And thanks very much for coming on the show. Really
with recovery as well. It's I hope it keeps going well.
Where's the best place for people to keep track of your progress?
Just Instagram. Yeah, I post everything on there. I don't bother with the other ones. They're all connected to my Instagram.
Yeah. And it's at Tahnée Seagrave for anybody who doesn't follow you already. Jack, do you?
Yeah, so as you said earlier, George, from people asking, I've put out like a day in my lifestyle training day on my YouTube. So get on YouTube, type in Jack Redding, it'll come up, and grab a brew and use some of your lockdown time to see what we put ourselves through when we're having a day of absolute carnage in the gym and on the bike.
Good stuff. Well, we're at Making Up the Numbers Racing on Instagram. Thanks very much to our sponsors for the podcast, Hope Technology, Revolution Bike Park, Schwalbe, and SingleTrackWorld.com. We'll be back with another episode very soon. Thanks very much for listening.